read in the Torah the story about Moshe Rabbeinu when he had fled to Midian and he had married the daughter of Yisro, the sheik of Midian. He was shepherding the flocks of his father-in-law in the desert area, and he comes upon a bush, and he had seen something very unusual. The bush was burning, and the bush was not being consumed by the fire. He approaches the bush, and immediately he hears the voice of an angel speaking to him, saying to him, "Remove your shoes from your feet, because you are walking on holy land." He immediately covers his face out of humility, feeling unworthy to look at the divine presence. And he enters into a 7-day dialogue with God. God telling him that he should go to Egypt to redeem his brethren as God's agent. Moshe was concerned, being the youngest of the 3 children of his parents, Amram and Yocheved. It would be a slight to his older brother Aaron, who was a prophet and who was at that time the leader of the Jewish people. And he kept saying and alluding to the fact of his own lack of qualification, his unworthiness, the unworthiness of the Jewish people, and God responded to every one of his reasons why he felt he could not be God's agent to be the Redeemer. Finally, it was concluded after 7 days that Moshe will be the Redeemer and Aaron, his brother, will be his spokesman. And when he goes to Egypt, he will take his holy staff and perform 3 miracles to prove to the Jewish people that he's truly the Redeemer of God to take them out of Egypt. In addition to the miracles, there were certain code words which were part of the tradition that the Redeemer, when he comes, he would say the words Pakod Yifkod. God will remember you to act on that remembrance in terms of redemption. What were the 3 miracles? One of the miracles was he will take the staff and throw it to the ground, and it will turn to a snake. And then he will take the snake by its tail, and it would revert back to a staff. He will put his hand within his chest area, and his hand will become leprous. And when he returns his hand into his chest area, he will immediately recover. The 3rd miracle was taking water in a vessel, pouring it to the ground, and as it touches the ground, it turns to blood. The Torah tells us he performed these miracles before the Jewish people. Vayamein ha'om, and the people believed that he is truly the Redeemer of God. The Midrash tells us, or the Torah tells us, Vayamein ha'om, and they believed at that moment the physical bondage ceased to be, because they had believed. So the Maral of Prague explains why believing in God is sufficient reason to cause the bondage to cease at that moment. He explains what is the difference between a person who lives within the physical world and a person whose existence is bound to the spiritual realm. In the physical world, everything functions and exists within the context of cause and effect. We are affected by our environment, their influences, and whatever the influences, whatever they may be, whether it causes something to advance or to deteriorate, or to be influenced in a viewpoint. But that itself is considered a physical context, cause and effect. In the spiritual realm, there's no effect. It's just a constant. For instance, if you live in a pagan world where the vast majority of the people do not believe in monotheism, and a person, despite the influences and the beliefs of the world, one does not succumb to those pressures and those beliefs and those perspectives, that's considered a spiritual profile. Spirituality is unaffected. That the Jewish people said, we believe that there is a God, that you are the agent of the Creator, of the Omnipotent One, which was contrary to the belief of deities. Because within the context of idolatry, it's within a physical existence. There is cause and effect. At this moment, they say we are unaffected. We are unaffected by the position of the Egyptian people. We do not believe what they believe. We believe there is a God. Although they're only a minute portion of humanity, it didn't make a difference. What is the concept of bondage? You cannot be more affected than a slave in relationship to his master. A slave is a chattel. The master dictates every aspect of the slave's life. His physicality, his actions, his mind, his beliefs. There's no aspect of the slave's life that is not controlled and affected by the master. So when we speak about, on the most exaggerated level, the physical experience of cause and effect, it's a slave-master relationship. We were in bondage, and we were experiencing that dynamic of relationship. The moment they say we believe, and they did believe that Moshe is God's agent, they became people who were unaffected. So because they assumed the spiritual profile of being unaffected, therefore they could no longer be affected by their masters, and therefore the bondage ceased at that particular moment.